Today also is a very special day. It's the Hey Tavis. Hey Tavis was a special thing in Chabad and basically for the whole world. I mean, we're saying that the Rebbe is the Mashiach. All of the leaders of Chabad are Mashiach. And I mean, it's the only movement in the world that I know of that their goal is to bring a practical, orderly, functional way to bring Mashiach. Step by step, every moment of our lives, in order that our only goal should just be to bring the Mashiach. So, I mean, that's what Abraham started. Abraham was called the father of all nations, of Hamon Goyim. The whole world should know about God. The whole world should know that they're being created by God. Every human being should be aware that he's tremendously, tremendously, infinitely important to the Creator, and that everybody has unique qualities that nobody else has. And this will be brought out only when everyone feels the Creator. And that's what Abraham started. That's what made him the first Jew. And that's what Chabad is trying to complete. So there was, this was what, 40 years ago, someone that stood up in the family of the Rebbe's family, one of the sons of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he declared that when the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe passed away in 1950, that basically ended Chabad. And that, they had this goal of, nice goal of trying to bring, but it just didn't work. The previous Rebbe is gone, and now you can divide up all the properties. And therefore, he thought is coming to him half of the properties, which expressed itself in a huge library of books that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe Yosef Yitzchak, he took with him whenever he went. He was in Russia. He was imprisoned in Russia, and miraculously he got out of prison, and he went to Leningrad to live, and he refused to part from his books. And he had enemies over there that were against him. They said they would kill him, they would this, and refused to leave the city, as dangerous as it was, unless he took his books. And when they told him that he should leave Russia, and these were like I don't know how many cartons, huge shipping crates of books. I don't know exactly how many there were. I mean, there was, at least 10, 20 cartons of books, thousands and thousands of books. And a lot of them were precious books. One of them that was mentioned many times was the Siddur prayer book of the Baal Shem Tov, that the Rebbe himself said that he was afraid to touch it. He was afraid to touch it. I mean, the book must have been worth $1 million bare minimum. And this person took the books. He said the books belong to me, and not just the books belong to me. that the Chabad is basically finished, and I'm one of the sons of the Rebbe and of the previous Rebbe, and one of the daughters of the previous Rebbe married our Rebbe, and so they just divide everything up. So it was a big court case, and somebody suggested, listen, why doesn't just Chabad just pay off he has a claim, so let's at least give him something. He doesn't. The Rebbe said, no, we're not paying a penny, nothing whatsoever. We want all the books, everything back. And amazingly, everything was brought back, all of the books. The other side was declared by a non-Jewish judge that he really went into the subject very deeply. And he said that there is absolutely no basis whatsoever to say that when the Frierdiker Rebbe passed away, that that Chabad ended, or that the Frierdiker Rebbe was an individual person, and now he's passing away. And the Rebbe said even more. The Rebbe said the previous Rebbe never really even passed away. That he's still here, and there's no such thing as an inheritance. Inheritance only comes from dead people, and there's not dead. In any case, all of the claims that the Rebbe made, and the Rebbe didn't even have to go to court to testify, which that was a really amazing thing also. And so, in other words, it was a big okay for Chabad to continue to bring, in its work, to bring Mashiach, to change the whole world. And the Rebbe said, the work has been done. And now all we have to do is just, continue as it was, but not to, our goal should not to bring Mashiach, it should be to accept Mashiach. Mashiach is already here, so said the Rebbe. Okay, let's learn a sikh of the Rebbe. Let's see how this goes. With God's help. Mehat shoyin geret fil mo. We spoke many times as Rashi in his Pirush on the Torah, Barvarant Yeder Shaila, that Rashi addresses every question, the kasha and difficulty, was mikan fregen, which we can learn in the simple meaning of the Torah. If Rashi doesn't ask a question, doesn't give an explanation on something, it's a sign that it must be self-understood. And in the Erter, in the places where we gefind nit, where we do not find that Rashi Zol Mavarzan, that Rashi explains some sort of a question in a sentence, is this this is an indication as hadas shoin bevorant, that either he previously explained it in a previous place, or as das is mlechatchila kan kashanit, or that it's no question whatsoever. According to this, why? How does it go? Because usually a child, when he's 5 years old, there's a saying that it says that Rashi only asks questions that a 5-year-old child would ask, right? In Judaism, children learn how to read when they're like 3 years old, and they're already learning to read the Chumash when they're 5. So when they go through the Chumash, they're 5 years old. So they have questions. The whole purpose is to understand. Torah is from the language of teaching, explaining, understanding. So in order to understand what's going on, right, sometimes you have to ask questions, sometimes things you don't understand. So it says Rashi usually only asks questions that a 5-year-old child would ask, right? And usually in the order of the Torah, from the beginning, from Bereshit. So something that he explained earlier in the Torah, he doesn't have to explain it again because the 5-year-old child remembers the answer. Or there's also times when there's no question. A 5-year-old child will come to understand the answer himself. Okay, now we have to understand in our parsha a very interesting thing, a very strange thing that at first glance everybody should ask. What is it? In them Sipur, in the story with Yosef, with his brothers, right? Hadzich gelust dar Kenan, when Yosef revealed himself to his brothers, right? At first, his brothers didn't recognize him. They didn't know it was Yosef. When Yosef revealed himself to his brothers, then the pasuk tertzeil, then the Torah tells us, as Yosef was suzei gezokt, he said, "Ani Yosef, I am now Yosef." When he said that, they were all like shocked. All of them are. We thought that Yosef was dead. They had no idea Yosef was alive. Ani Yosef, ha'ora v'chai, is my father still alive? That's the first thing he said. I am Yosef. Is my father still alive? Stelzik, like the Tamiyah, you can automatically ask a question, like many people did ask. Rashi doesn't ask. They're tochen a parsha biza here. The whole entire content of this whole story up to now is Doch Wegen. The raid is talking about Yehuda with Yosef. Wie Yaakov hat nit gewollt schicken Benjamin kein Mitzrayim. What does it say? What happened? The brothers went down to Egypt. Yosef did all sorts of things to make them crazy, right? And in last week's Torah portion, right near the end, he said, oh, you said you have a father. Is your father still alive? And they said, yes, our father is still alive. They said it clearly. Yes, our father is still alive. Right near the end of the last week's Torah portion. So Yosef said, he's still alive, really? Yes. He said, well, go back and bring your little brother, Benjamin. So he goes and they go back, they bring the little brother Benjamin, and Yosef says, he's a thief, he stole my cup. He stole the magic cup, and he's going to be in jail, right? And Yehuda says, listen, my father told me this, and my father told me. Yehuda steps forward. He says, my father said this, and my father said this. And if you don't let him back, my father is going to die. And this. Yehuda says, finally, Yosef can't hold himself back anymore. He sees his brothers, that he really loves his brothers. Deep down, he really loves them very much. And especially his little brother, Benjamin. He hasn't seen them, and he hasn't forgotten them. And suddenly he bursts out and he says, I am Yosef. Is my father still alive? So what type of a question is that? Yaakov had just finished talking a whole big speech about how their father is going to suffer if they don't come back with the child. Mitzad, because of Azav Aviv, Vames, if you take Benjamin, my father is going to die. And Yehuda, like Yehuda also told Yosef, then far halten Benjamin, that by means of holding Benjamin, veter Yaakov nit oishalten, that Yaakov, the father, wouldn't be able to stand it. Also, when Yaakov, when my father sees that the child is not with us, he's going to die. In other words, Yehuda gave him a whole big paragraph, a whole speech about how their father was alive, and that his health was very delicate, and that if he saw that Benjamin wouldn't come back, he would die. And all of a sudden, Yosef comes with a new question. Tell me, I'm wondering, is your father still alive? Is my father, is my father still alive? And the Allah read all this was Yosef their heard, which Yosef heard, they haben der Numen Yosef bis lo yachal Yosef apik. Even more, Yosef heard all these words that their father was still alive and that he was still worried. Yosef heard all these words. He couldn't hold back. That's the reason why Yosef said, I'm Yosef. As nachdem alaman, and after that he says, is my father still alive? How could Yosef should have said, my father is still alive, bring him to me, I want to see him, please. What is he asking him questions? Is my father still alive? In other words, what's he saying? Are you telling the truth? It doesn't make any sense. This is the thing that Rashi should have asked. A lot of others did ask. We also have to understand, as Yosef Zalvarden, if an answer. Yosef didn't even wait for an answer. Breather. He didn't say, is my father alive? No, answer me. And he didn't even wait for an answer. Bald had gezen, as soon as he saw the loyach that his brothers could not answer him and that they were all afraid, hoter veiter geredet, he said, Vayomer kulu gashua na'alai, Vayomer Yosef. Yosef said, I'm your brother, I still love you, don't worry, come close to me. They're tailed. And they said, Via Zoy, is Gavorin, they're Moshel, and Yosef said, you should know I'm the ruler of the whole Eretz of Egypt. And it finally says, go back to my father and bring him back to Egypt. We have to say that Yosef certainly knew that his father was alive. If so, when the words Ha'oda Vichai licht on an under meaning, it must have meant something else. If he was saying, is my father still alive, he must have meant something else. I mean, okay, you can say maybe it was a rhetorical question. Maybe he was saying, wow, my father is still alive. This is amazing. Good. I mean, he could have said it earlier. They told him previously that the father was alive, right? He wasn't. It doesn't say, no one says that he's saying this in a way of a rhetorical question. My father is still alive. This is wonderful. Bring him. Right? He knew this for a long time. So it must be but it's written in the Torah that this is what he said. Yosef said, is my father still alive? It's a question. So it must be something else. What did Yosef mean by this? And he didn't even wait for an answer. He knew what the answer was, that his father was alive. So what did he ask for? The Abarbanel, one of the main explainers of the Torah, he learns that Yosef does gefragt. Yosef asked this, Nitzu machen zicher. He didn't want to make sure that he was alive, but the kadei lachmis mom the devorim. He already knew that the father was alive. He just wanted to hear what they had to say. Something like, remember, the story about Adam, after he ate from the tree, he went and he hid among the trees of the garden, it says. And the God said to Adam, where are you? And so Rashi says, what type of a question is that? God obviously knew where Adam was, but he did it in order to hear what Adam would answer. So the same thing over here, this is what the Abarbanel says, that he asked, as is my father still alive, to hear what they would answer, to get them into a conversation. Vesendik, the brother, knowing that the brothers Velen Veren verschämt, he knew that the brothers would be ashamed. Wenn sagt, I am Yosef, hat gesucht, a Weg zu reden, euch wegen andere Sachen. He knew that the brothers would be ashamed. As soon as he said to them, he announced, I am Yosef, he knew that they would be all startled. So he wanted to sort of calm them down, to sort of, how do you say, soften up the thing. So tell me, how is dad doing? How is my father? That's what the Abarbanel says. No, that's a nice answer. He wanted to get them to answer because he saw that when he said, I'm Yosef, that they were all, their breath was taken away. They were knocked out. So he said, I want to know something. Is my father still alive? That they would talk. That's the Barbanel's answer. The Erster Zach, and the first thing he asked him was about his father. Because he knew zu fragen euch wegen der andere bnei mishpacha, and the Zoy weiter, he also was going to ask about the other people in the family, right? Nor as is nit gekumen derzu, he didn't come to this while lo yachlu echav la'anosoto, the brothers couldn't answer. Really would have said more things. Also, tell me what's been in the family. Oh, my father's still alive. What's he been doing for the last 22 years? What's it, right? But he couldn't. He realized that as soon as he said, I am Yosef, that they were all knocked out. That's the Abarbanel's answer. Milton can Zogan, and this we could say as Rashi, that also maybe Rashi learns the same thing from the pshat of the sentence. Un darf is nit schreiben, therefore Rashi didn't answer anything, because Eret Shoin al Derech is previously. Oh, where? On the sentence, Vayomer Ayeka. Exactly like I said, we already had an example like this, that sometimes God asks obvious things in order to get the other person in the conversation to answer something, like you did with Adam. God knew where Adam was. He just wanted to enter into a conversation, that he wouldn't be like too confused to speak. Alder says similarly on the sentence, like Adam, like God also asked Cain when he killed Hevel, where is your brother? The Kanesi told to get him to speak, to get Cain into a conversation. Rashi for if the parish, maybe we can say that Rashi is relying on what was said previously, that sometimes God does things like this. He asks obvious questions in order to get the other person to answer. Says the Rebbe, but I don't like that answer so much. It's a nice answer. The person who gave it was certainly a big tzaddik, but their pirush is nit in ganzen galatik, but it's not exactly okay in our case. Why? The achri arichos adibur from Yehuda, wegen der Wirkung from Benjamin Verhaltenung in Mitzrayim, because after Yehuda explained what's going to be the outcome if Yosef keeps Benjamin in Egypt, and what the effect is going to be on Yaakov is kedei lahachnis bedavurim hat Yosef nitkedar fregen haoda vichai. If you wanted to get him into words, then he shouldn't say, tell me, is my father still alive? You would have just finished saying that if you hold on to Benjamin, my father's going to die. Nor gleich anib, and he should have immediately said, oh, your father is in such a precarious situation. So he should have asked, in order to get into words, he shouldn't have talked about his father. Thinking about his father makes Yehuda really uptight. My father's going to die. Your father's still alive? No, he should have said, tell me, is anybody else in the family still alive? How is everybody else? How is the family doing? How is Bila? How is Zilpa? Something. So not to talk about Yaakov, not to talk about the Yaakov was a touchy subject. Yosef shouldn't have brought that up. So it's hard to say that the answer of the Barbanel really is effective here, that if really Yosef's purpose was to bring the brothers into conversation, he should have talked about something else, anything except for Yaakov. Yaakov was the whole reason that they couldn't answer their father, because they were worried about the L'chara can infer, maybe we can answer that says ha'od avichai with a hey. Ha is a question. Is it so that my father is alive? A hey in the beginning is like a question mark in the end. Ha'od avichai, is it so? Is nitkain shal. It's not a question. And see if my father is alive. Nor says listen to me. Oh, says, but rather it is Yosef, Yaakov. I'm sorry. Yosef was expressing his surprise. The Rashi had shown mefarish, like Rashi said many times, by Hashomer Achi Anochi, like Cain said. He asked a rhetorical question. Listen to me, amazed, not even rhetorical, but of amazement. Lashon Tamiyah, who and the Od and also, and there's other places. Also here is by Yosef. Yosef was a Tamiyah of a Pliyah. Yosef was saying, well, I heard you saying my father is alive. Could it really be that my father is still alive? In other words, he was accepting the truth, but he was saying, this is incredible. Their chiluk, what's the difference is, nor as by their dugma now, like we said, in Rov Makomos, is the Tamiyah mevatel the kol sal kedaitach. Sometimes an amazing thing, like for instance, Cain, right? God said, where is your brother? After Cain killed Hevel, right? Where's your brother? And Cain said, I'm my brother's keeper. This was taking away the question of God. Cain had gehalten, as there is nit shomarachi. This was not an amaze. He was not speaking from amazement. He was speaking, this is what they call a rhetorical question. What's a rhetorical question? Rhetorical question is almost like sort of sarcastic. It's almost a sarcasm, right? Lift up that car. I can lift up a car. In other words, implying, what are you asking a stupid question for? I can do this. God asked Cain, where's your brother? Says, you're asking me. I'm supposed to. Masha'enkin, which is not the case in our question. In our case, Yosef was not being sarcastic. Yosef was really amazed. This is an amazement. Yosef knew that Yaakov was alive. Nor does, but this roofed by him a rosa tamiyah. This brought by him an amazement, a shock. As Rashi, like Rashi had already earlier explained by Halaben Mea Shana Yivoled, like Yaakov, like Abraham said to God. God came to Abraham and said, you're going to have a child. One of the angels said, you're going to have a child. And Avram said, I'm going to be 100 years old. I'm going to give birth to children. A tamiyah. This is a wonder, amazing. In other words, he knew it was true, but he was saying, I'm not questioning that it's true. Not questioning that it's true, like Cain did with Hevel. I killed my brother. I know where my brother is. He was trying to say, it's not so. What are you asking me? Here, it's not so. Here, this is a thing. Wow, I believe what you're saying, God. I'm going to be 100 years. I'm going to give birth to children. Wow, 100-year-old person. The same thing is over here. Yaakov is done. Alt Kevin. Yaakov was 130 years old. Asach Veiniker in Avram and Yitzchak. A lot less than Avram and Yitzchak. Hind versus the Pella. What's so amazing? If so, let's understand this question. What was so amazing is my father. Obviously, that he wasn't amazed that his father was still alive at the age of 130, because Yitzchak lived 180, Avram lived 175. So that wasn't such an amazing thing. That he was amazed that he was still alive. That wasn't the question. The ikra, the main thing is, was it that for a shaykhus to hatchalas dibur ani Yosef? What does this got to do? He should have said, first of all, wait, my father is still alive. Why did he say, I am Yosef first? So lieb was bechlal had Yosef darzel. Why did Yosef say this thing to his brothers? Unach tan them bald in selber moment, wenn hat sich zu gelost der kennen ani Yosef oder Bichai. Yosef first of all said, I am Yosef. Let him get over it. Then after that, after they got over it, he should have said, is my father still alive? This is amazing. My father's still alive? Okay. This is a shell. If it's a question, if Yosef was saying, is my father alive? Then it makes sense. Ken Minzagan, we can say, is Adarabba. The Iker is given no to Yosef. We can say that the main thing Yosef wanted to know was about my father. And therefore, immediately after he said, I am Yosef, is my father alive? But here it's not the case because he knew his father was alive. If so, what was the amazement? What was Yosef so amazed about? What was he so amazed about? Yaakov left his gavust. He knew that old Avichai. He knew that he was alive. If so, what was the amazement? What was he so amazement? The explanation is like this. As we're going to get to tomorrow, God willing, come back tomorrow. We're going to explain what exactly was what was Yosef so startled and amazed about that his father was alive. And he knew his father was alive. He wasn't asking a question. And he wasn't trying to doubt the fact that his father was alive. He wasn't trying to say to his brothers, hey, you're making up a story, right? My father is still alive, really? No, he was saying, wow, I can't. This is incredible. My father, what was so incredible about? Not the fact that he was old. The age wasn't such a big factor. 130 wasn't old. Also, why did he have to say immediately after he said, I am Yosef, is my father still alive? Right? That's the most important thing that he had to say, is to express the amazement that his father was alive. Let him calm down a little bit. What's going to be the answer? God willing, we'll find out tomorrow. Now let's do Yom Yom. Yom Yom, Hey Tavis. When Mashiach will come, then we will see how important is simplicity. And there's a lack of egotism, false egotism. How important is to be simple and clear. Just 1 second. Hello? אני גומר עוד שנייה, אני אצלצל לך, עוד שנייה. How important is simplicity? Everyone in days of Mashiach, the main thing will not be understanding. Everyone will believe with a simple faith that God, in God, blessed be He, and in the Torah and the commandments. Talmud understanding is even the greatest understanding has a limit, but simplicity and I say simple devotion, believing with a feeling is unlimited. The Melech HaMashiach, which he will bring everyone to understand that action is more important than anything else, and especially action that's done with total simplicity, heartsicker, in other words, warm and earnest service of God is the highest thing that can possibly be. That's what Mashiach will reveal, as we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. 3 o'clock, if you want, we're learning, if the class is going, 3 o'clock, we're learning Chumash with the Meforshim. Hope to see you all. God bless you. Have a good day with Mashiach now.